Greetings, Benjamin J from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. What you're looking at, of course, is a Lionel 8902. Now, this is a DC locomotive. I've got, 4 or 5 of these. As I always stress, don't overlook the DC locomotives. You add a diode to these, you can run them on a standard O-gauge layout. On AC, of course. Anyway, I found one of these on eBay. I ordered it today and made the guy an offer on it. $10 with free shipping, and he accepted. Now, the problem with the 8902 that I ordered today is that it's missing both of the contactors. So since I had an 8902 to experiment on, I pulled the contactors off of it and made a contactor out of sheet brass, as you see. And I just bent this piece of brass, fitted it to the copper strip, or the brass strip on the bottom of this Lionel, and soldered it in place to make a contactor. So I just got this soldered. Let's see how or if it works. Let me pull or turn the power on. All right, power is on. All right, so as you see, that contactor is working. The question is, will it work pulling a load? Let's find out. So the 8902 with its brass contactor. Let's see what happens. Zoom, zoom. Now that's the only contactor on that locomotive, so obviously it works. No doubt about that. So a really, really simple expedient to replace the rollers on an 8902 DC locomotive. As you see, that's running perfectly. That's right at 50% power. That single contactor is working absolutely splendidly. So, like I said, it's an expedient, but it worked. That's the neat thing about it. So, if you need a contactor for the 8902, virtually any Lionel locomotive that uses one of these snap-in contactors, either a roller or the little bud that snaps into position, just bend a piece of brass, as you see, solder it to the contactor. As you see, it's still spring-loaded. And you can see where it's riding on the rail. So this is going to work absolutely splendidly. No problem with this at all. So a really simple expedient to replace the missing contactor on a Lionel locomotive. A simple piece of spring brass or sheet brass. As you see, that's running absolutely splendidly. There's only one contactor on that, and it's working absolutely perfectly. So a really, really simple way to replace one of the missing rollers. There's 2 contactors on this. And the early ones were rollers, the later ones were just basically little extrusions to ride on the rail. There were no rollers on it. But as you see, this works. Works absolutely perfectly. So that simple brass contactor replaces the roller. Only takes a minute to make it, and as you see, it's spring-loaded and it works absolutely splendidly. That is the only contactor on this locomotive. Anyway, that new one will be here in a couple of days. And like I said, since I had this 8902 to experiment with, I thought I would do a quick test and see what it would take to fabricate a contactor for it. As you see, up and running perfectly. And we know it works because that's the only contactor on the locomotive. This is running just absolutely splendidly. So about 5 minutes to make that. Soldered it to the contact strip on the bottom of the motor, and this 8902 is up and running. Like I said, it's an expedient, but it works. Without that roller, you cannot run one of these locomotives, period. So, I wanted to find a way to fabricate a replacement that was easy, cheap. This is a way to do it. A simple piece of brass, bend it, fit it into the slot where the contactor was, and solder it in place. And as you see, this is running absolutely splendidly. It's spring-loaded. It'll last the rest of my life, no doubt. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video on a really simple expedient to replace the missing contactor on the Lionel locomotive. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.